On behalf of the Center for Online and Continuing Education, it is indeed a great pleasure for us to welcome Dr. Peter Ricci in to share some of the excitement he's been enjoying during this summer. Thank you, Dr. Ricci.
Yeah, hi, welcome. It's great to be here, and I figured I would just spend a few minutes with all of you. I was kind of thrust into the fire with a certificate program, and just wanted to share the highs, lows, excitement, and we're actually doing another one that starts today, so it couldn't be better timing. So my name is Peter Ricci. I'm the director of the Hospitality and Tourism program in the College of Business, and we have had for over a decade a summer program called the Hospitality and Tourism Management Certificate. We usually get between 40 and 80 face-to-face enrolled people, and our price point to the public was $899, and for all of our employer partners, it was $699. Um, 95% of the attendees we had came through our employer partners. So you can say basically the cost was $699. When the first initial signs of COVID started appearing in February and late February, early March, I knew that hospitality was going to get hit, and I wanted to do something as people started to get laid off. So I came up with the idea to do a short certificate and to keep people engaged while they were furloughed, because like the rest of us, I thought this would be a short term 2 or 4 weeks in the house and then everybody would go back to work. So we gathered together here in the College of Business with the FAU executive education team, which is outstanding, and we have IT staff and we have pedagogy staff, and we sat together and said, how can we take the highlights of our existing certificate, get my faculty together to volunteer, step up to the plate, put it online, and do a minimum of 15 hours of content. And we threw it together, and we simply put a flyer out to our existing employers that hire our students. And within a day, we had over 400 inquiries, and they were all coming to my email. So I knew something was up, and we did not realize the extent to which layoffs and terminations and furloughs had already occurred. And then the flyer spread virally on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook. And before you know it, we had over 5,000 registrants within 72 hours. And the entire scenario unfolded and exploded before we could get our arms around it. So the first thing I wanted to share with you was actually our end results. So you have an idea. Let me see if this is the right one for you. So in the end, and let me enlarge this a little bit if I can, we had 77,300 people register for this free certificate. Of that, 60,125 actually accessed the certificate at some point. So you can imagine the strain on Canvas, on our registration system, which we call Radius. It's part of campus management. And I always wonder about the 17,000 who never accessed the course. And from anecdotal information, they were people who either didn't realize it was hospitality, didn't realize it was 15 hours and didn't want to invest that much time, and so on and so forth. But we are very proud because out of the 60,000 that accessed, we had almost 45,000 complete it, just under 75%. And we had 165 regions around the world or countries with over 10 million Canvas views, and we stored videos in Vimeo, which we had to pay for. So that's the first thing I wanted to share with you. So if you're building a certificate, you kind of need to be prepared on the registration side, on the email side, on the voicemail side, and so on. I wanted to mention at some point that if you can strike with a certificate when the times are good, the enrollments may surprise you. Like, we were flabbergasted by this, and I'm still reeling from it. But if the word free had a lot to do with it, and that's why we had 17,000 people who never accessed, because they saw free, they signed up and said, "Oh, this is not for me," whatever. But the explosive nature was very hard, and I think FAU as a university, we learned in so many different areas how to deal with this. We learned how one person, me, could be overwhelmed. I was receiving between 500 and 5,000 emails every day for at least 30 days straight, with an average of about 1,500 a day. And I was trying to keep up with that. And because people want an answer, they were calling every extension around the university they could find, from the president's office to the registrar to admissions to student affairs to student government, you name it. And because of the influx, our registration system also crashed. So when they couldn't register and the link was down, this led to phone calls and emails, etc. So when you're planning a certificate, whether it's going to be 30 people or 300 out of the gate, just be prepared for the unknown and just roll with the punches. There I have to say, there was one day I was just ready to walk and never look at the certificate again, and I got talked off the ledge. But that's when we're in the midst of having 40 or 50,000. So that's kind of behind the scenes. What really happened, and something else to be cautioned of, is the viral impact of today's world. If they like what they're seeing, what they're doing, they will be your fans. And because we had some of these registration and technical glitches at the first signs of exploding, I made sure we all divided and conquered on my faculty and in executive ed. So one person would monitor Instagram, one would do LinkedIn. And if there were any issues, we would jump right on them and help. Of course, nobody had planned for this. We were all teaching in the summer, and we already had a full plate. So it was a very interesting process. But in the end, we had 600 and I'm going to say 668 pages worth of comments that were either emailed to us, mailed to us in letters, and only three of the comments out of the 50 plus thousand were even remotely negative. So we were very, very lucky. And, one of the things that got out early on um, was, all things shared by certificate registrants. Um, this was a silly photo that I like. Let me make sure I'm sharing. Hold on. The photo I'm going to share was from a gentleman who owned a meeting planning company and called Milestone Meetings, and he put this on the internet saying "Hospitality Hero." This is me doing one of the videos, and I thought it was so silly, but I must have got 1,000 emails about it. And then this gentleman operates a hotel in Fort Lauderdale, and his LinkedIn was flooded, and everywhere he Googled in LinkedIn were our certificates. So I'll just stop it there. But this exploded into press releases in the news, into video clips in the news. The FAU press office had us put together a video clip as well, and that led to more and more and more requests, so to speak, to join the certificate, even though we had already started it. So what exploded and got overwhelming, this video actually added to the explosion. So I think if you're planning a certificate, you probably want to do a video announcement for it, because looking backward, sorry it's not opening for us, but it basically, if and when it opens, it's a promo piece that FAU did from the press office. Let me see if I can get it to start for you.
leading labor union says nearly 300,000 hotel, restaurant, and casino workers will lose their paychecks in coming days.
When COVID-19 first started occurring, I immediately thought, what can I do to make these people feel better? And it was keep them engaged and offer them some positive light to know that will come out of this. So I took our existing hospitality and tourism management certificate and we condensed it a little and put it online, and it's absolutely free. And I expect it to help about 500 people, and I'm blown away because right now we have 77,000 and received by almost 150 countries. So you kind of get the idea of what I'm going for. There was this was way after we started, way after the fact. But for those of you planning certificates, you'll probably want to do a promo piece like that. And, it's only a minute long, but you can send it out with your links, and I think it'll encourage enrollment. So let me shift my focus a little bit from that to how did we handle some of the issues as they came. Remember, with 60,000 people accessing the certificate, things were bound to happen. We had every time zone covered in the world. We don't have a tech support staff. We have one or two people. So we created Qualtrics surveys. Thanks to my IT team, I came up with all the questions that I were receiving in emails, and we put them together. So if they had general questions of any reason, they could go to one link, and if they had issues retrieving their certificate, they could go to another link. As far as retrieving their certificate, we provided them a digital certificate at the end, and I'll show you the Canvas setup in a moment. But some of them had issues even knowing how to type their name correctly, and then they would get their certificate with the incorrect name, and we kindly would say, well, you typed it in yourself, let's refresh it. So I actually, for the certificate right now, I've come up with a resource guide. Start and end date, what's the certificate about, use only one email for questions. If you need sex support, use the links. How does the format work? So whatever on your end that you're going to put together, just make sure it's available to them, that it's clearly communicated, and so on. So let me move now into the actual Canvas shell of the certificate that we are doing now. The size of the first certificate was so big that we limited Canvas enrollments to 500 per course, and we used what's known as a blueprint. And I'm not an expert on this because I relied on my tech team, but basically we were replicating courses of 500 enrolled many, 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 many times to get to the 60,000. So we would make changes in the main blueprint and then publish it all along. So when some of the things we learned, you have to really guide them initially. So in the cover email that we would send, we would tell them to cut and paste the link to Canvas, then to cut and paste the username and password. And the cutting and pasting seemed to alleviate a lot of tech support requests that we got, regardless of what browser they were using. Then we would send them a photo of how the class would look with a yellow arrow pointing here, telling them click here to get started. Now, I don't have this in student view. In student view, they will only see one module at a time. So let me open the student view for you. So all they would see was their cover page. They would go in and they would only see the welcome video. After they watch the welcome video, they'd go to their practice quiz. We did a practice quiz because we have included quizzes after every module, and they need to score a minimum of 80% before they can move to the next module. So all the modules are locked, and I would suggest sequential viewing and locking modules to get to the next one. I have a list of some comments for after, but for design, that really worked. So let me go back to the non-student view. and just show you, we have for the existing certificate, we have about 48 hours of content and 8 modules. One thing I would like to say is they want to know going into the modules how long they are. That was a big uh, common question, a common complaint. So I know if I open one particular faculty's video or presenter that it's going to show me in the video bar the length of the video. That wasn't good enough for our end users. They wanted to know entering each module how long it was. So after we built these modules, I went in and counted up all the minutes, and now at the top for the certificate we're starting today, I expect fewer complaints. That was a biggie that I never expected, was we need to know going in how long the modules are. Another thing I took away is that if you promise a certain number of content hours, you better have them in there. They will call you out on it. And you can't say it's a 20-hour certificate and have 12 hours of content and then justify it by saying, well, we thought you would take 8 hours to watch it twice, or you would take long to watch your videos. The end users don't like it. They don't buy that. They want content. Now remember, the 60,000 plus we had, it was a free certificate, and they still pushed us on all these issues: speed of responsiveness, quickness to return my email, return my phone call. They wanted personal phone calls. 13 years I've worked at FAU. I never knew that my voice mailbox could fill up because I've always answered my voicemails on a daily basis. So I had a faculty member assigned to doing nothing but checking voicemail 6 times a day. Another one doing nothing but, like I said, monitoring Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Another one responding. This is a FAU College of Business Dean's Office staff member who helped me with this. You can't really see them, but I have 2,000 handwritten letters and cards that all came to us as thank yous. We have sent every person back a thank you. We had someone else for social media comments, at least liking them or thanking them and trying to capture the positive comments so that we would have comments. As a matter of fact, let me open that for you. So I'm trying to remember all this whirlwind of activity. And it's funny, until I sat down today, I forgot about the little video comments. I forgot about this. I forgot about that, because it all happened so quickly. Um, we have, let me see, comments generic. All of these, what we did in the end is we filtered the companies that had many, many people attend. So you hear Atlantis, Best Western, Sendine, Disney, and we put all their comments in the front, and we are compiling a list of all of those and printing them out, and then we're going to mail them to the CEOs of those companies just to show that FAU help. But you can see this document is, it's loading. It'll take a long time. It's many, 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 many pages, and these are Marriott first. So there's 18 pages of Marriott, but the generic comments, which is the one I just opened, is it's loading, but it's almost 700 pages. And so these were all cut and pasted from social media or were sent to us in an email, and we've removed all their personal identifying information, and we've kept their comments. And I would say this initiative has really helped FAU because we probably had 1 million FAU logo appearances. We received donations. We received thank you cards, thank you emails. We have MBA applicants out of this initiative. We have OBA, our online Bachelor's of Business Administration. We have many applicants for that out of this. And we have a lot of people continuing with additional certificates. So it's positive, 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 but the workload was absolutely incredible. Um, you will probably want to come up with standardized communication. So one of our cohorts, we have 6 cohorts. One of ours, this was just a sample for you. So here's my first communication. Hello, you'll start this day, you'll get credentials, and so on and so forth. And then second communication, make sure you're in your class. Third communication, and I can send anybody any of these things that you may want to review. But it's more just staying on top of it and having a consistent message that you share. Now, handful of the positives. The comments were heartwarming. Of course, our certificate was at a time where people were being laid off in the world's largest service industry all over the globe. So they felt that we connected with them. You will have to have someone who responds to these positive comments, because you can turn them into future students or more certificate takers, or just have goodwill. I mean, I can't tell you how many said, "Oh, I can't wait till my son or daughter is college age because now I'm going to have them come to FAU." So that's a positive. A negative was there were many people who would attempt to get their certificate without actually completing the work, and some of them didn't complete any work, and they would find an FAU email. Some of them went to the generic FAU Facebook page, and I now know the person who maintains the FAU Facebook page because of this. People would reach out on there saying, "Hey, I loved your certificate. Hey, I finished the certificate, but I never got mine." So you need someone who's capable to go into Canvas and verify that all the quizzes and modules were complete, and then send a response. And I learned quickly, we had about 200 requests from people who never completed anything, and I would simply respond with a screenshot of their Canvas shell and say, "Our certificate is for those who have completed it. It appears you did not complete anything." And I'd leave it at that and never hear again. So we would call them out on it. So be careful, because it's FAU's name on the line. We struggled to find a method to ensure some type of rigor in a video based learning format. We did videos with faculty one on one. We did video interviews with industry professionals. We did some interviews with multiple people at once. And we designed objective style quizzes that would query based on info in the module. Believe it or not, we had to revise the quizzes midway because someone shared them on Quizlet. Yes, even a free certificate, they were sharing the questions out and about in the world to make it easier for people to get through. So stay on top of any plagiarism or cheating sources as well, because believe it or not, even if it's a relatively straightforward certificate content, it might get out to the world. Um, the most difficult part was getting our arms around the emails. I had the pleasure to chat with 2 outstanding faculty from the College of Nursing that were putting together a certificate, and I warned them that every email will lead to 2 or 3 additional emails. And we even had a lady who took our hospitality certificate and wound up also enrolling in the nursing certificate. And she had emailed 4 or 5 different people in nursing, and it wasn't fast enough to her liking to get a response. So she emailed me and said, "Hey, you were always responsive during hospitality. Can you help?" Well, of course, nursing was already on top of it. But it just shows that we live in an instantaneous world, and somebody has to be assigned for the tech support, because they will reach out for any type of reason. And you're dealing with Firefox, Chrome, you're dealing with 200 different internet cable providers around the country and world, you're dealing with different time zones, and you don't know what little specific issue they are having on their end. And it can be confounding. And beyond that, I was amazed how many people had never taken an online anything, but would enroll in an online certificate. So I know that's a lot of info to throw at you. I want to share one last time our Canvas shell that we're using. Our certificate opens today, like I said. I'm very proud of my faculty, of our guest speakers, because we put hours and hours and hours into this. And, you know, we're all pressed for budgets, we're all pressed for time, we're all on COVID remote work. So putting this together was an unbelievable accomplishment. What worked best for me may not have worked best for every faculty member. I preferred to come into a sanitized classroom and record in the classroom and then have my guest speakers, you know, join in by WebEx. Other people recorded from home. Other people used different versions of Zoom and this and that. In the end, we took all of those video links, we uploaded them to MediaSite, or I should say, Henry and our IT department uploaded them to MediaSite, then edited them for their quality, and you know it came out to be an outstanding project. But there's so many moving pieces. Thank goodness that everybody on my faculty in hospitality, I have my own little requirement that everybody go through COCE training. And I went through the original training a long time ago. And when I first started teaching online in 2005 at UCF, I went through their initial training. So my faculty are probably 25 to 50% competent at what we do. So there's not really any newbies. But I had people from Disney World. I had Doug, who was in Asia, in Beijing, for his interview with one of my professors, and so on. But the quality remained strong. And, you know, having them edited and all have a similar look and easily open and easily click, it really helps the end
Hey
user
everyone,
because,
this is Peter
you know,
Ricci. I'm going to
you
spend
have
a
the
little bit
faculty
of time
talking as well as their facial expressions. You'll notice here there is a way for them to speed up their video slightly. I did get called out on that several times by individuals that they wanted the videos to be able to be sped up. And we have that now. I don't really like it, but it doesn't allow them to zoom through them, just to speed them up. Um, and we also relied heavily on FAU OIT's department, which I cannot go without thanking Mayron and Joseph and so many people there. They helped us with registration. They helped us with the error messages. They helped us with compiling lists. Think about the frustration. I don't know what registration system you're going to use, but the registration username and password will 99.9% not match the Canvas username and password. So you have people trying what they remembered only to say you're sending email after email. Use Canvas. We're sending unique new username and password, but they're not reading their emails. So it's just a lot to talk about. You can see I'm super calm. I'm relaxed now. And the funniest thing I'll close with before you guys can ask questions is that um, today we have 700 to 900 starting. I forget how many we're going to shake out in the end, and I'm completely calm. If you had told me that when we started this, I'd be a basket case. But it's so funny because now that says, oh, yeah, piece of cake, one or two Canvas shells, you know, we're good. Speaking of Canvas, we had to approach Canvas because we were dumping 60,000 new FAU users into the system. They had to figure a way to help us with that. We had to house the video. So OIT offered to pay half of the cost, the other half from FAU Exec Ed and the College of Business to host to purchase a 1 year Vimeo storage for hosting the videos. So to explain everything and try to remember anything, I simply can't. But it's a whirlwind that I really look back on as the highlight of my career at FAU. Now, most of you watching, you probably want to do certificates and get 50 to 200 and make some revenues on them. I think if we could pull this off, you can pull that off. Just make sure you get the good quality people behind you. So, Judy, I don't know. Do you want to read me any of the questions, or let me know if you got anything along the way? I'd be happy to answer anything.
Doreen Jameson asked, can you talk a little bit about the fundraising?
Sure. Well, the initiative was meant as a heartfelt gesture. I guess I forgot to mention, I've worked my whole life in the hospitality industry. I didn't do my doctorate until I was 40. And so 15 years I've been a full time academic. And I didn't want this to become a fundraising issue. At the very end of the certificate, I said that I'm all about helping people in a time of need and I'd like to pay it forward. And I did a little pay it forward video and asked them to give us $1 so that we could continue to run beyond 60,000 people. And what happened was people donated anywhere from $1 to $1,000, and we raised, I want to say over 50,000. I kind of lost track at some point. And what we did, because of the Vimeo costs and everything else associated, is we ran another cohort up to 20,000. I think we got about 17,000 in the end, which we charged $20 to. And we said we're going to offset what we normally cost to thank everyone and to give some of the money back that we've spent to pay for our Vimeo and so on. Give some of the money back that you've shared with us. And from that $20 initiative, we made enough revenues to pay stipends to the faculty that assisted, which they stepped up. I have very fantastic faculty in hospitality and the marketing department, and I mean they all just stepped up. But it was super nice to get $1,000 stipend or whatever we could afford, at least for your time. Um, so I don't, in the end, right now, with our paid certificates, I am super, super cautious and very light on asking for any fundraising because they're already paying. But at the end, I have a 1 or 2 minute video saying pay it forward. If you'd like to support FAU's hospitality and tourism program, $1 goes a long way. Because if I could get $1 and have 1,000 people registered and raise $1,000 every time I ran a certificate, I'd be super happy about that. The free one, I was super hesitant because these were people who were just laid off and our goal was to help them. And I can tell you, we rolled out cohorts in 20,000, and every cohort that came after the last one donated as a group a smaller portion because they were further and further away from having a job. So I would say you can ask, but just do it very cautiously and make sure it's the right certificate and it's the right time to ask, if that makes sense.
Dr. Ricci, we had a message from JB, Dr. Ward, and he has reinforced the comment about be prepared for anything. Absolutely. We also had a question about sharing some of your resources, and if and I will take that on. Take that task on. If you will send me the documents, some of the documents you shared, your resource information, I will pass it on later on this afternoon after we get the emails all set up, and I will make sure everybody has access to whatever you would like to share with us.
Awesome. And I saw that one person had about how did we get the word out? It really spread organically. We didn't pay a dime for anything. I simply emailed. I personally post jobs for my students. It's something I do. So JB and I have compiled a hiring agencies list, and we have about, say, 400 active employers that post jobs every month, sometimes every week, and we have another 400 or 500 that post a little less frequently. I only put together a one-page flyer with a link to register and sent it out to those individuals. Ryan Swano, who works here in the College of Business, put the flyer together for me. He does our PDFs and our logos and all that, and we didn't spend anything on advertising. Now, for the second certificate, again, I did not spend anything on advertising. What I did is I just spread it organically. And this time I spread it through people who had taken the first certificate and said, remember, we did a mini version at the start of COVID as a free gesture. This is our full length version. And it used to be $6.99. It's now $1.99. If you're interested, please sign up. And because, again, we had so many thousands with positive comments, we were able to garner 600 or 700 out of that group, which to me is super fascinating because, you know, I don't know how it is in your discipline, but in hospitality, we are dead in the water with layoffs across the world. And so to get 700 people to step up and spend $200, I found it super amazing that we even got that money, that many. JB Ward, who Judy mentioned, JB's a faculty member in our program, and he was the one who was assigned to do the voicemails, and he was assigned to help compile comments. So let me tell you, everybody had their fair share of work because of the size. I hope you don't have that same level of craziness because it was just simply crazy.
And you said that this one you're offering now is the full version. So what's the contact hours you have in this full version course, Dr. Ricci?
We promised in our flyer 40 contact hours and 4.0 continuing education units.
Super.
And we actually shook out about 47 or 48 hours. I say always give a little more if you can than what you promised. So I don't know if we're going to update to the exact number, but we probably will. But either way, this is a lot of content. And someone asked if I've heard any negatives from moving to for free to fee-based. Of course, there were many people who said, "Oh, I thought it was still free," but we were pretty clear when we sunset the free stuff. We did a number of social media blasts, and we also made sure to let people know that the free one was a slice of the regular length one. So they will have about 15 to 18% of the content in the for pay one that they've already had. And we still had people sign up saying, this is great. You know, we want it back. We don't permit downloads of the videos. Once the certificate finishes, we completely take it down. And so there is no longer access at all. Now, you know, they probably can find a way to screenshot or share. There's a way around everything. But many of them told me in the for pay registration process that they wanted back in the finance material and in the law material because they didn't get enough time with it the first time around. So I wouldn't say we've heard really negatives, but we did hear griping from people who just wanted free. And to be honest, out of the 60,000, well, let's say it this way, out of the 77,000, a large chunk of that 17,000 that went away were people that probably weren't our target audience anyway, if that makes sense.
Yeah, beautifully done. Beautifully done. Yeah. Any other comments or questions? Anything else? Dr. Ricci has made himself available to us. And what a great story you have, Dr. Ricci.
Thanks. It really caught me by surprise. Anybody, if you want any of my documents, my email is very easy to remember. It's hospitality@fau.edu. Hospitality@fau.edu. Just email me today. I'm sure I'm going to get 1,000 anyway since it's first day of certificate. So,
Well,
I'll
if,
just.
if you will send me some of the documents that you shared, I will make sure that everyone who's on this in this session will get it to save you a few of your emails for today.
Awesome. Well, I thank everyone so much. Judy, I really appreciate your time, and Nicole for setting this up, and everybody, thank you so much.
Yeah, and we have one last question.
Yeah.
Is it possible to be added to a course to see how it's set up?
You know what's funny is I didn't even Henry Dominguez and I in IT, we were so cautious of the blueprint, we didn't even add our own faculty. But
Yeah.
I can add them as an observer. I think as an observer you can see it anyway, if that's correct. Is that correct status?
Mm,
You know?
we,
I don't
yeah,
know in Canvas.
yeah, yeah. Denny may have the answer to that one, but yeah, thank you. That's an interesting thought, an interesting perspective. But it will for everybody. It will depend on the perspective that you want to take with your own. So, but the to me, one of the compelling pieces is they clearly have the content and have the information that their audience needs. Yeah, yeah. We have another comment for you. Thanks for the insight. Great initiative. Someone who knows his business. Absolutely. I think we lost Dr. Ritchie. Sure can. Thank you.
Sorry, but yeah, so I'll add anybody as an observer that wants to get in. Any questions, they can also email me, and Judy, I'll send you everything in a few minutes, and then you can distribute as you like.
Thank you. Thank you. I will definitely do that. We so appreciate you taking the time, especially since you have another 700 people ready to jump into your next edition. Thank you so much. Good luck with everything.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye bye. We appreciate it. Thank you.